tell everybody this is the first jiu-jitsu seminar I ever went to, and it was no gi with a Brazilian and a black belt, and we did this one, Osoda. That's what it's called in judo. But Cora hit that in her first tournament. It may not have been her first, but this Memphis tournament, a Naga, if I'm not mistaken, she hit this, and we've had people hit this at white belt, blue belt, on through the belts, right? So it is an effective throw, and most people have an idea. Okay. Now, most people make some really big mistakes on it too. And I'm just going to show 3 throws today that all go to this pin. That's the only reason we're kind of breaking them down, and then we'll start getting to work with it, okay? But look, as he's coming forward, I step here. Look how our feet are in line. So if I step behind here, I've got his balance, okay? So, here, and get back on. And if you want to do the other side here, I don't worry about switching my grips. What I will do is go to here, right? It's controlling the neck. It pushes him off balance, right? And if I am doing something like this pin, where I'm going to get into his head, that's fine, right? So don't worry about, I need to switch the side of my grip, okay? Just face me. When he comes forward, like this. See, we're side by side. I'm here. Right, step out. If I was going to the other side, here. Okay, so they're walking forward the whole time. Boom. Come in. That's so that means outside leg technique. Right, let's do it. 1, 2. Stay relaxed, just like a dance. Yeah, good. Yeah, I like that. And then right back to walking. Yes. Oh, good. Good. So here, I want you to step to the side, like that. Step to the side. Now kind of run down this way. Just, like not all judo crosses over to jiu-jitsu, but a lot of it can because of the grips, because of the gi. And a lot of judo can cross over to no-gi too. If you look at Greco-Roman wrestling, it's essentially no-gi judo. Like that is exactly how I see it. It's a lot of upper body work, but you don't have the collar to manipulate. So study both. You ever see people get into this? That's in every Greco-Roman practice room, right? So here's what we're gonna get into now. How can we use this this throw like this at first when we talk about? Okay, a lot of ways to get into this, and in different takedown arts, you all these different grips to do this one thing, right? Again, don't get too hung up on the grips because there's a whole bunch of them, and sometimes they can cloud things up for you, in my opinion, right? So here's what we're gonna do. Sharp, come in and get a body lock on me to the side, okay? Like what? See my hip? I'm standing up straight right now. When he pulls my hips in, right this side, yeah, suck them in like that, like like our wrestling coach MacArthur, we do a single or a body lock to you. It feels like he's feeding you. He's a heavyweight. It feels like he's like pushing you under his legs, okay? So he's like that, okay? If anybody ever body locks you that way, when he sucks you in, come into your throat, right? Now, let's get into some details. Each time we do a throw, we'll get into some details about it, and we'll start adding on subs. This is the pin. In judo, it's called Kesa, right? A lot of ketras call it head arm ride, right? So the 3 main components I want you to deal with right now is the head. We gotta have it with our arm, okay? When you have this, it's hard. I don't pinch this all the time. It's hard for him to get the elbow to the mat though if I do pinch it. One of the main escapes is to get your elbow to the mat. And he's gonna get his head out, or as he does that, I start coming down, he starts, coming up or getting his guard back, one or the other. All of those things are not good for me. So, this, I want to grab that tendon on the inside, right there, just the bottom of my hamstring, and latch onto it. So I want to capture his head in that way, and if he's ever trying to get his elbow out, I pinch the head. I don't do it all the time, okay? Now, this is either going to be in or out. We'll see options with both of us today. If it's out, great. You can push it over. You can lift up and make the pin even worse. All right, push it over and go to chokes. We'll see some different options. Or the arm is under your arm. Okay? This is another really good one. But here's the thing. When you're here, he can grip and he can bridge you up and roll you over. Okay? So how we deal with that is we sink our weight down. If he tries to bridge me up, I'm just dead weight. A lot of you probably seen, like everybody says this for self-defense. Okay, relax, stand back up, just like normal. I'm gonna pick this up here. Alright? Same thing, drop your weight. It don't work. I'm doing that in that pin. It's the same exact concept. So yeah, I'll show the throw a couple more times. But all this stuff, if you get thrown and you get reversed immediately, it's not cool. So start trying to do stuff when you hit the mat. All right, so bridge me up and just get my weight over you. That. See, I had to post. Sometimes you do have to post, but it's not the best idea. You can recover from it, but right now, go. All right, try and get your elbow out. Go that way. Try and like run away from you. Turn into me. Okay, so you're gonna clock away, or they're gonna turn in. They're trying to get their elbow down to get out, take the back. They're gonna try and bridge you up. The main things you gotta watch out for. And when you get taken down, you can kind of talk to your partner and feel that out. Okay. So we're here. He comes in, body lock. He tries to bridge me. Right? Sink down. He tries to get his elbow to the mat. Pull up. He was going that way, so I walked him. He comes back into me. So, a lot of debate on the best way to keep your legs. The highest profile jiu-jitsu match that anybody ever tapped to this is a position, is a compression, a sub. The legs are this way. The way I have them right now. And that's Dean Lister, Josh Barnett. So a lot of people are doing this because they don't want to get their hook insert here because they're worried about that head coming out again. Okay? Most people, you train very long, you're familiar with that. Okay, you can take your back, put you in the truck. Do that again. Okay? So when he gets this, if I cross, right, kind of extend my feet away, and keep him from not only getting out, but also get that chest compression again. So, just a little bit about how you put your feet. And if he's trying to lift you up, have all your weight on the mat. Otherwise, have a little bit of it off the mat, riding on him. Okay? So, just micro level, hip turn versus that. Right? See that? Just kind of the action. I need to turn and hit the leg all at once. And I'm doing this. I'm not trying to hurt my own elbow, but I also don't want to crack his ribs too bad. He did volunteer to come up here and help me. But I'm kind of, this is a detail I got a long time ago from Sean Church. We're doing takedowns with him. And he's like talking about falling on the forearm. They talk about that in judo as well. It's a muscle. Right, but you can kind of err on it and fall on your elbow. So I'm doing that because Sharpie's my friend and teaching with me today. I don't want to hurt him, right? But if I'm in a tournament, I'm just gonna land on you. It's not everybody I've ever trained with or how judo guys like, yeah, I just land on him. I don't have to differentiate. It's time to land on him in the tournament. Never had a problem not doing it. He pulls me in. See, that went down. Then get your ride. Okay? That throw is called body drop. That's the translation, Tai Toshi in judo. It's a basic, one of like the first 10 throws. Alright? So, using it as a counter though, that's a little bit more applicable than this. But this is the key to the door. Right? This was also the warm-up for us. So, Tai Toshi off the body lock counter, and we'll add some stuff onto that in a minute. Alright, 1, 2. Small history lesson. Alright? From it, an actual historian. So, there's a debate on whether or not that this throw has a name in judo. And it's like when you do this, but you have his head.
right? Which is kind of what I was doing, right? There's a guy that set up judo for Japan in France. This is his throw. Everybody knew him for throwing people this way, right? Now, there's a famous hip throw where you pick them up like that. That's a hip throw. They actually call, even though I'm doing this with my leg, they call this a hand technique. They're saying it's all either pulling his gi or just like pulling his head off. So they call those hand techniques. Like this is a hand technique. So some people differentiate and say like, hey, this is a whole other throw that we're doing, right? But really it's just, don't get too hung up on that. There's variations. And like, it's really like, hey, I'm lifting him up or I'm not. Like the action is a little different, and the rest, how they judge it, is how the legs go through the air, right? But this is a variation. Like he pulls me in right here. Look at my heel. I just slid down. When I teach side falls to beginners, we do this. You see how my foot was on the mat the whole time? There's a standing arm bar where you get that as well. Right, but you just, it's hard to kind of, you gotta relent. You lay that weight and they go down, right? But it's just putting weight on people. So he pulls me in here, let's slide on my heel. I land past his knee here, and then I start getting that ride. So, wait, you know, when he sucks you in, turn and plant your foot. Right, and then start sliding down. Just like that. Under that ride. Make sense?
Sure.
I've always, this can be risky if you're just starting out. Okay, I've had fighters fail in fights. Like they go ahead and they try and get like something like this, and that happens, right? And then this would be like the highlight reel of the night if they dumped them with the sweep. But then it's risky, and this is why I like this pin. A lot of people lose out on some of the details, and they think they're going to get their back taken, right? If you had these details and you know, like, oh, they're going to do these two things, really, you can kind of work around that, okay? This is a little different. I don't see this as risky coming in here, okay? You can gable, or you can grab and pull in like that, like a butterfly style grip, okay? You see, like in no-gi, people do that. This is, again, like an upper body clinch, right? But collar and elbow or collar and bicep, either one, like if you're in these sort of ties, right? And here's the thing, sometimes, you know, jiu-jitsu, I don't end up in, I grappled like one of the best white belts that I've ever grappled, kind of just past driving through like a smooth operator. And we ended up in that clinch and we were in the gi, you know? So like, don't think like it just kind of became that for a second, right? But when we're here, go up under, grip, and lift the hip. So what I would want for everybody is like, you don't have to, you know, walk away with all these throws. Like the best people in the world are usually good at like 1 to 3 throws, and everything revolves around that. And usually the throw they really like, the other 2 throws are just linked to that, and they happen as a consequence of the primary throw that they want, right? Like best people in the world. So here, I'm lifting, right? Now, you can do this motion. You can also drop to the knee and try and cue in on like the action that you like. This is what I see as more of a hip throw when I don't step past like this. Right there. Here. You can still do the slide out. You can still do the Kayatoshi. Right? And this is being kind of a hybrid of that. Right? You can pick him up, or you can drop to a knee. And when you drop to a knee, turning and looking, it's like when you're hip throwing. A lot of these throws, when we're loading like with the gi grips and doing those counters today, is everything for me to turn and look with it. Okay? So when I'm here, watch what happens when I turn and look. He slides off my back. He's got to do that at some point. So here, let his arms out, so we can start attacking. Naturally out on that. Alright? So, here, you can go there. I was telling them, like, I remember, I learned this throw this defense counter throw the weekend before I tested for my Shodan in judo, which is your first degree black belt, right? And it's this one. It's that one. I'm at the first jiu-jitsu center. I've been training like less than 6 months. I'm like, I know this one. I didn't know it, but I thought I did because I've seen it in movies and stuff. We did the other one everybody knows where you flip them over. I'm like, I've seen these, right? Yeah, I was aware of them from like Hollywood, just different things, right? But this, okay? You know, this is a 50-50 throw. We're neutral. Sharp could throw me. Boom. Right? So one thing about this stuff that I think people learn last, it's all like, hey, learn how to fall so you can preserve, right? Is the defensive posture. And if you have defensive posture, when people try and throw you, it won't work and you can counter throw them. Okay? So, and like just be like kind of step out when I come in. Right? So that, like, didn't have enough space, so now I'm gonna get closer. Boom, right? Now, just step out again, boom, right? I'm closer, step out again, boom. So how can he intercept that, right? Without having to step out, because I'm here to tell you the step out is a cool defense for beginners, but it is not what I want. I don't want to come in on me. I don't want to do this. I mean, I'm susceptible to a front headlock. If we're talking about fighting or something, I could get kneed right here, uppercuts for striking, whatever. Okay, so you don't ever really in fighting. I don't like having my head over my knees like this. Okay, so here's the idea. If Sharp comes into Osotomi, right, take my balance like that. Okay, so take my balance. All right, come in and take my balance. Okay, so what I'm doing, you don't even see it. Because he's trying to throw me backwards and I do this, you don't see any movement. Right? Essentially, it's like a sprawl. Like I said to somebody earlier, a sprawl, your legs become straight when they loose. Right? If they're like really trying on the double, you gotta go all the way straight with your legs. Like this. Okay, so my hips are forward on a sprawl. So I'm doing this lean like this when he comes into a sodomy. Right? Come in. So you just hit the wall, and then I also go like this throw we did, right? We extended our leg. Well, here, the Sharp's in on me, and I extend my leg, it takes him down. So just load, yeah, get in here. So find it, like try and take me backwards, right? I've got the posture, right? Leaning forward and into him. Okay, he's trying to throw you backwards. Before he does this to you, you got to get leaned forward. You got to time it. So I'm not going to throw you, you don't throw me, but I'm going to come in. I'm going to try and take out that leg. Good. And just stay relaxed. There you go. That's good. This metaphor applies on singles, doubles. Any throw I could get you with has this sort of defense to it. Okay? So he comes in on me, check me. Boom. Other side. All right, look, he's coming in to throw me. I'm just leaning my weight forward. My hips are going like this. And I lean into it. Now when he comes in, I throw. Okay? So, it's a defense, like kind of the other, it's a counter, right? He body locks me. We come in. He tries to throw me with this other thing. Boom. We throw him. We don't have to be good at every throw. We have to have good defense so we don't get taken down. That's the part everybody doesn't like. Right? So, defensive posture. I call it the forward lean. Right? It's a real valuable technique. Just do it just like that. Drill it back and forth. I'm there. He comes in on me. Boom. Right? And just back and forth. Get the defense. Lean forward. All right? 1, 2. But if I do this, it's called Osoto Toshi, right? You can drop the knee on it. Right? I taught that variation last time I was down here, actually, from just some different grips. Okay, so that's Osoto Gari. If I'm doing the over-the-head hip throw, Koshi Garuma. If I'm using my leg like we talked about, that's Tai Toshi. Koshi Garuma and Tai Toshi are second group. Second group 8, it's in that. but it's still very beginner. Like if you're like first couple of years of judo, you're gonna see those throws all the time. Okay, so those throws particularly, and others too, go to that pin we worked on. Okay, so let's shift gears and start working on some submissions from that pin, right? And still be checking, try and bridge them, try and get your elbow down. So you gotta control this arm. You gotta get under the head. And this is a mistake people make. They won't have that shoulder shelved, okay? So I need to lift him up and scoot that under there, right? And I'm always kind of gathering it back, right? Now, here's a cool little option, grab with the body lock. And a lot of times you're gonna see me, like we did the pin details, work those, but I'm also not gonna set on him the whole day, right? So I already threw him and fell on him several times, right? But again, you gotta kind of, I'll go over some ways to create pressure and adjust the ride, but we did some of that. Just work it incrementally. Hey, try and do that, and then I'll attack. If he has the body lock, like I'm coming in there and I'm sawing down. I'm trying to put my elbow like in his elbow, really, like right there in that bend, and saw back to his grip, okay? Now, from here, I'm gonna grip like this, right? I'm gonna turn, and I'm gonna step here. There's already a tap. But my hips, this is look, everybody kind of bags on Hickson like he's selling snake oil or something because he's like invisible jiu-jitsu. I've trained with the guy, and probably no one else here other than Cora has, and it's not snake oil. It is like, hey, world champion in the room, can you do this to me? Oh, you can't? Here's the way you're supposed to be doing it the whole life you've been training. He calls it invisible because like that defense, I learned that from Hickson. You can't see what he's doing. I've been training in like 10 years when I saw him do that. And I'm like, guys, all the black belts and brown belts in the room, 200 people, what is he doing? I got a judo black belt test next week. This is one of the first throws. What's he doing? He's doing something that addresses what they're doing. You can't see it. A lot of times people say this on this technique. Oh, you put this knee down and this knee up. That's a consequence of what you're doing. It's not what you're doing. If I just do that, there's some slack there. This hip's fine. I'm raising my hips like that. That's what shears the lock. Can you do it the other way? Yes. But again, this is like, I see this a lot. People will be like, oh, I need to go to the side, and they will fall on their side when they're supposed to be on their back. It's a misinterpretation. They'll see somebody fall down at an arc and think they're pulling them down at a 45-degree angle, right? When you're pulling them forward and they fell that way, right? So come in here. Look, when I grip, I'm rolling like this, not with the thumb, here, and I'm gonna scoop it behind. If it turns, and here in a second we'll do this, just like any bent straight, I'm showing you a straight arm lock, right? And here in a second we'll do a variation when it turns over, and it'll be Kimura, but punch the thumb here and catch, and I'm pulling it back and raising my hip. Yeah, it's fast when you do all that. Whereas here, right, push, watch here. I'm just gonna do that thing with the knees. I still got it. Start turning your arm. I don't have it. And then the only way I'm gonna get it here is by doing that detail with the hips. And you see the knees doing that? And people always say, this knee up, this knee down. That's not what you're doing, it's the hips. This hip is fine. It's on the right plane. This hip's gotta come up. Like that, to meet it. And that helps dramatically, okay? So he's here, get your right in. Like this, okay? Like that. Okay, if it turns, same thing. Here, raise, right? It's not just this, it's the hip. It's just totally different. It's so subtle, you can't even hardly see. It's just, you know, the unfortunate part is like, and it's not bagging on any of this, like, imagine speaking Portuguese as a first language and trying to explain super complex art to someone who speaks English as the first language. And like, we're just getting on the other side of that historically in the art, right? So that's, and there's people out there that are really good at it. The Henzos and the Hicksons and, John Donner went to philosophy school. That's why he's so good at it, right? Has logical terms to make your mind think about stuff. And that's what we need, this articulation. What are you doing there with your hips? Well, I'm bringing my hips up. When that becomes knee up, knee down, and that's not what's happening. Okay? So get with your partner, straight arm lock. And if they turn it down, that's going to happen naturally while you're figuring this out. And then do defense, do the Kimura. 1, 2. Here's kind of another Kimura. I remember I've been training a few years before I saw this first. He gripped around the body. Let's say you kind of had a hard time finding your elbow in there. Hook his elbow like a heel hook. Okay? Like your wrist bone here. Like this. Okay? Now, look, I'm going to gable grip my hands, or S-grip my hands rather. Okay? And I want to take his shoulder forward. Like this. Okay? And then I'm going to take it up to my nose. Alright, so right here, we're not at that big of a danger, right? The shoulder hasn't been isolated that much. But when I lean forward like this, right, and then I'm pulling it here, just like that, okay? Now, sometimes people even do teach this with one hand, and that's fine too, okay? But if you can't saw out the arm, you're having a hard time with that, go under, lift it, right? Meaning it goes forward, and then lift it to your face, and it taps. Okay? Pretty simple, but it's kind of hard to find. And that's, when I was coming up, people always say things like, oh, you'll develop the sensitivity on your choke. And I'm like, well, when's that happen? Because it's like, and they're like, oh, in a few years. You're a white belt or a blue belt, but you don't think about things like 10 years in the future when you understand. And you just got to stick with it and try and find people that can articulate it in a way that you understand. I hear things from people all the time about this stuff, and somebody explains it the way I understand, and it's like, I've been hearing that one since 2008, but that's the person that explained it in the way. And sometimes I learn new things is why I can understand it, right? But so when you're here, you can't get the arm out. You like shoulder locks, you like Kimuras. Raise forward, peel it up, okay? And guys, I tell people this too. Talk with your partner. If it's coming on quick, some of these will verbal tap. I tell these people this, like, if you tap me and rolling, I will verbal tap every time as long as my mouth is available to do so. Sometimes it's covered up, right? But if you tag me, I'm gonna tap. People be like a loud room, music playing, like another class going on, and this person's tearing their shoulder off, and they're like, I'm tapping fast, bro. Don't you hear me snapping my fingers? Like, people do, and I'm not opposed to this. Like, we're sitting here and I'm teaching, but like when you get to everybody's drilling, there's stuff going on, noise in the room, it can come. Some of the stuff come on quick, so be careful. Okay? But look, one more time. You're in here, hook under like a heel hook on the elbow, raise forward. I'm kind of pulling it back to me like that. Make sense? 1, 2. Show a couple that's like, you can use the actual hold as a chest compression, then there's a variation where you tap them with the pin. Okay? And then there's this is the standard arm triangle choke. Okay, so I'll mention those. I think you should see them. Just so you might not like joint locks. Like, I once trained a guy, and if you watch a lot of our YouTube videos, he's almost always my uke. And this, like, as soon as he started training, he really excelled at arm triangles. It didn't matter if it's a rear naked choke, a darce. This one here is called Kesa-Gatame in Japanese, right? And a lot of people call it that in jiu-jitsu too. You can clock out to finish. You can arm triangle and sit through to finish, right? I always like clawing under the shoulder to finish, okay? But strangles are good. And what I'll do is a lot of times when I throw, hey, remember that one we did and the arm was here? And you land like here? This can be a chest compression, that he will tap to. This will be a chest compression that he will tap to. And then I start softening you, right? That arm comes out, I'm running through the joint locks. At the end of that cycle, I can push it into a strangle. So we saw, you know, here, hey, another sort of joint lock is switching the thigh and breaking over the straight arm, okay? Now, look here, Americana. Okay, now, this Americana, some people ignore, and this is taught. This is not, I don't get into, I've never let the head go like that from here. You can finish it here by just doing that, just motorcycle grips. And I'm doing this too. Okay, so here, boom. And like you're not finding that, that's when you can start going into the chest compression, the strangles. Okay, but here, you throw, you switch over, you got that thigh. All right, so I switch my legs. You can switch your legs to just gather and pin. Just hook on right there, okay? Like while you're trying to switch back under here, and then I'm here. So you can go there, that's the Americana just here, or you can hook also here. Look here. Everybody teaches this one funny too. People talk about pulling the head. I talk about this anymore. Like I think about like I'm like, how long was I primed before you tapped? John Underher calls that slack. I think there's a great way to describe it. So people talk about like doing this, and he tapped. Did you see all that slack? I don't like that. I like when I was like doing that second and he tapped immediately. That's no slack. That's kind of one of the theses trying to get across the main point today. But it's pulling his head up in a sense, but it's really more pulling it away, right? I want his head to stay here or go over a little bit while I pull his arm away. Okay, so I like that. No slack. All right. Give him a little massage before we move on. I know that everybody like Americanas can get your shoulder, your labrum particularly, but your elbow, your ulnar, is rough. Okay, so you're here. Switch your thigh here and break that arm lock over. Okay, switch that through. Motorcycle grips. That is this. Okay, nothing wrong with grabbing your thumbs. You like doing that? Cool. But like, I don't have that when I grab my thumbs. I don't have that. Like sometimes people, I'll say, they'll teach like grabbing one thumb, or I just always did no thumbs in motorcycle grip. Okay, now I can also stuff that there, here. All right, and that's the Americana with the leg versus the Americana with the hands. And we saw a straight arm lock with the, like here, with the interplay with the Kimura if it rotates over, right? Okay, so you got one with the legs, so I Kimura with the hands. Here, arm bar, hand and leg. I'm breaking it over my leg with my hand, right? From there, you can fold it down, Americana with the hands, Americana with the legs. We did the hip throw, the leg throw, and then the hand throw where you use your leg, right? But we did those three throws, and they all can go to that pin. My favorite throw I did in competition is a throw called Ukiwaza. It can go to Kesa, right? As a throw I landed more than 20 times against a resisting person in a competition, right? So again, it's just like that, what I was saying earlier, find a throw that works for you and ride it to infinity. I've gotten bored with so many submissions or techniques just because I've been doing this for 15 years, but like competitors, don't get bored with it. Go submit everybody with it in the whole world before you get bored with it. Because if you don't have that kind of competition mindset, you just, oh, rolling toe hold, that was my thing last month. You know, this next year I'm going to find something new. You just kind of, literally, there's a move that I hit on every black belt I knew that I ever rolled with. Just every time I rolled, just nobody ever taught me. I started doing it from 7 different spots. And then I was like, oh, I'm bored with this. It's not gratifying. But here's the thing, you do this for 15 years, usually submissions aren't gratifying. It's really the stuff I'm talking about that everybody's like, oh, I didn't see that. That's the gratifying stuff, that you can continue to learn new things about things you've always known 15 years ago. Okay? So let's go ahead and start working on, like, okay, that's the perspective. Like, what if you fought a judo person at a tournament, right? Like, that stuff would help you just from, like, oh, they're trying to do some of that to me, right? Same thing is, like, I think you guys are competing in Oklahoma last weekend, was that? Yeah. They wrestle over there. Man, do they wrestle over there. Like, the first black belt I ever competed against in Oklahoma, Tulsa Nationals, was a black belt in jiu-jitsu also, and he wrestled in college. And I was a brown belt at the time. I was the only person in the no-gi division. And I was just like, man, this guy's jiu-jitsu black belt and he's a wrestler. Like, these are combinations of things that will strike fear into the heart of people, right? But also, it's a lack of education that makes you respect that. I think respecting it is a way better way of looking at it, right? It's like, yeah, he's a wrestler. So you're going to go out and try and wrestle him, right? And if you do, like, are you going to be defensive? Are you going to counter him? Like, what's your strategy going to be? So, like, just take some of those lessons from the stand-up and try and add them in across the board. You don't have to go out and try and throw a judo person. But also don't just resort to pulling guard because you can't, whatever. I've thrown tons of wrestlers. I've hit doubles in tournaments. I've hit singles in tournaments. And I never wrestled in high school, right? But also, everybody has reverence to these people that wrestle or whatever. It's like, I've been doing double leg takedowns for 15 years, right? Most wrestlers I know weren't in a wrestling room that long. So, we'll talk about some mistakes that people make. I want to just start with a drill. We call this knee tag at my school. I learned this from an Iowa State wrestler who's also a Pan American champion. Okay, so this is the quintessential wrestling. All right, like square, knees bent here, just ready to plow in. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try and touch his knee. If I can touch his knee, I could shoot on it. I could do a single leg. He steps back. I don't have anything. He steps back. He steps back. Single leg. Right? Or here. High crotch. Then I go inside like that. Could be single, double, or high crotch. Just depends on what you're working for. Like, but doubles here, singles here, high crotches here, double, high crotch, single. Okay, so I come in here, he steps back, and then, oh, touch your knee. When I touch your knee, I take it down. Right? So, circling around, go for his knee. Oh, there you go. This is Melon, this is another guy that I didn't learn this from. The drill, but he teaches the footwork and he calls it arcing. So like when you come in, you go like that. He steps back, like that. It's like I'm doing these little crescent shapes in arc, right? So knee tag, just do that back and forth a little bit. Number one mistake, people shoot from too far away. All right, once the same guy that showed me this drill said this, past high school, you do not take people down without holding onto them. Right? Something like this. Right? So, but then too, you're too far away, shooting, and you're not touching them. That's why people are like, oh man, I'm terrible at double legs. That's, get close. Knee tag's a great way to kind of conceptualize that. If I touch your knee, I'm close enough to grab you or shoot. All right? Let's do it 1, 2. I really want to single leg this leg. I know that it's the leg forward I'm supposed to single. That's the basic lesson that people usually get. And step back. I'm just going to pursue it harder, right? That's just like, go to the other leg. It's there. But it's like, man, it's the things that like we fail at, and we just want to double down on them. Okay? So, let me just go over some components of the sprawl here. Start in on the double with the hands clasped. Yeah. Okay. So, like this. Look how like if he sucks my knees and he bends my knees, Okay, don't want that. What I want is my legs going apart, straight, as I walk back. It's like that throw defense. My hips are gonna go forward like that. They're gonna lean, right? And you're just gonna kind of see me hit like a straight up and down posture because of his resistance. Okay, so if your leg is not straight, he can pick it up. Yeah, flare it up to the side. Yes. Okay. So a check I want you to do on people is when you get down here, start sprawling. Yes, good.
The Home Depot has free workshop kits.
Bend that knee a little bit.
Easy get started. Pick up a new one in store. Starting
Okay.
Saturday.
If I can lift his leg up, you don't have to sprawl.
/kids for a project guide.
Dixon Gracie also taught me how to do the sprawl.
Plus loads of other
A brown belt.
content.
Didn't know how.
Wait to get their hands
After 10 years.
Find out more at homedepot.com.
He taught a whole room of 200 people how to do it.
Workshop
Anyway,
kits.
so here,
From the Home Depot.
he starts walking his feet back,
More done.
right?
Plus my last
Yes, keep walking back, hips forward, look up. There. Now, one of the things we're gonna study is what to do when your hands hit the mat, because that's when it's on, and that's usually when people pitch a 10. Like, man, I lost on the double that I don't know how to do correctly. I think I'll just stay in turtle. Turtle, you know, it's a good spot in jiu-jitsu. No. Turtle is you have to have mobility or your ship's gonna sink. Okay, a real good person is gonna catch you in a ton of different options, right? In front of you, spin to the side. Right? Everything I like to do in all of jiu-jitsu is available from turtle. All right. So, get with your partners coming on me double, right? And he's just here. I want to be able to kill that right there. You heard his hands hit the mat. As soon as his hands hit the mat, reset. You go up, and you can kind of come in. Look, I get close. Reset. If you want to shoot, fine, or you want to start down on your knees, fine. It doesn't really matter. But what we got to do is get this. It's that same posture we did on this throw here. It's the same posture, because someone's trying to double it. All right, so that's a sprawl. Work with that. When people start sprawling on us and we lose, we'll sit through. We'll do some good stuff. All right, 1, 2. Okay, so here's kind of a real interesting basic. Okay, I want to talk about 4 directions of a takedown. Right, on all the throws, we'll talk about them in the same way, like when I study throws. Right, so you'll have a plus sign right here. Like the way these mats come together, right? And then think about a time sign. That's 8 directions, right? But those are the planes that throws typically happen. Right? There's also the similar planes I'm going to drive on for takedown. So remember that plus sign and time sign. In judo, I call that the master's wheel or the master's X. Right? So here, go ahead and check the falling chart. Right? So I want to stay up under it. It's another thing, right? Like this, it ain't good for me. That's where you guys start. Like I see this a lot, and you are not going to take them down. It's too far away. Right? Being up under here, okay? Now, go ahead and you kind of get down. Yeah, there we go. We're down, but I've still got his legs, and I'm still up underneath him, okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to drive either side. This way, right? Or this way. Okay, if my head's here on the right side, it's fine. If you feel like you want to put a hand down, you can do that. Okay? So here. There we go. Like that. Okay. When he puts his hand on the mat, I go forward. Okay. Now I'm here on his hips. Walk the hips away. Get an underhook. He ain't gonna get this underhook any other way. So don't even think about it. Right? I don't even believe in underhooking colored belts, maybe blue belts. Sorry. So I'm gonna tell you right now, if I just like wanted to underhook Sharpie, Robert too, they'd be like, I don't let that dude underhook me. Underhooking almost exclusively something that happens after I pass your guard. People be trying to still do this like it's 2013 or something. They started putting jiu-jitsu on the internet, right? I'm gonna get
Welcome to Austin, where you can see just
You ain't getting. If he just holds his arm right there, you're not gonna underhook him. But When I came on his hips here, I walked his hips back, and I'm under. Then get the upper body. Okay? If you want to turn and face his knees away, that's fine too. Just got to have realistic expectations on pinning people with side control, side mounting. Okay, come back under. So look, I'm here. When he posts, go forward. Walk the hips away. The other side. Okay, so here, same thing. I'm raising, right? He posts. He posts. What if he posts here and he like drives back into me? I'll make him post there, and then drive, hop over. Okay. Right? Sometimes you can punch it from there. Right? But what I like to do is walk his hips away. Then get the underarm. Inside. Alright? So here. So he's here. Right? Like you're in, like you got in on the double and they haven't beat you on the sprawl yet. The legs are bent. So you can raise them to the side like I was talking about. He raises, drive. Good, come back. Raise the other side, drive, boom. Okay? So, pretty simple. But a lot of times when we raise and they put their hand down, you keep going sideways. And it's go forward. So, here, forward. Right, you go sideways, they post. As soon as you feel their hand post, go forward. Going that way, stops, go forward. So he's talking about 4 directions. That's 2 of them, side to side. All right, so do that. Side to side, teeter-totter, get to feeling it out. As soon as they post, drive forward. Make sense? Yes. Like running in a circle or running lateral to them. Like, you see when doing that on some of this, but it's a little easier than, I don't have to run in that circle, right? So go ahead, all right, here. I go forward. Forward. But you saw kind of an angle happen. Right, I'm just going here, here, but then you see it's kind of 45-degree angle take place, right? So you lose that side drive, go forward. Either way. Now, here, knees are still bent, right? Now, at this point, like the instance you lose on the sprawl, go ahead, I'm going to back out and go here. If I end up on the shoulders like this, good. You got a crucifix, straight arm lock right there. Okay. Cross your ankles, hips, knees apart like this. When he sprawls, all of his weight is committed to one spot, right here, but on my back. It's driving me down. So I can't go forward anymore, but that's what you were doing, right? So back out. Cool. Here. Okay. Look, cross your ankles and sprawl, and it's not like a sprawl. It's more like they call it the froggy stretch in yoga, right? So I get his wrist. I cross my ankles. I bring my heels up, and my knees are coming apart. It's the same way that you flatten someone and that you flatten someone and rear mount. Look. Come back up. I know you all thought it was this, but it's not. Also a Hickson technique. Just want to point that out. The dude's got all the answers. It's crazy. That's why I named my dog after him. Both of them. Hickson and Gracie. All right. So, I lose. Oh, man. Back up. Roll your head out. Remember when Kesa were kind of connected the arm and collecting at the wrist? Here, same thing. This is subtle. You need to bring your heels up. If you don't, you're going to spread your knees and not have it. So, bring the heels up, then the knees apart. Right? I've seen some people catch the hand between their feet. It's fancy. It's not, if you get it, cool. I think it's the technique, like the essence, right? But this is the simplest idea. You lost going forward, back up, and go around. Sometimes you can arm drag off of this, right? Here. Straight arm lock. Turk, but it's real similar to kind of what we're doing on that pin on top a second ago. Make sense? I'm gonna back up and he's following. I'm gonna back up and that's when I'm gonna load it up. I might even stand up with him, right? It's also right in here. He's following me, he's following me. And look how I got his hip. Occasionally, I'm a little taller than Sharp, but I train a guy as a purple belt on Friday mornings. Perfect frame for wrestling. And he will pick, and I outweigh this person about 50 pounds at least. And he will effortlessly pick me up on his shoulder doing this because of his center of gravity is just a little lower. But look at my shoulder, that's on Sharpie's belly. Like that's what I'm talking about, right? Just how you can stand, it's just he feels so light. But that's kind of the lift. And you can still get up and under it that way if you're the taller guy or girl, right? So, but that's if they follow you, just switch back forwards. Or go to one of the side directions. Back up, go around is a really good technique though. Here's the thing on back up, go around though. What if they have an anaconda grip? Okay, so that means he goes neck, and he's out the armpit with like an arm triangle sort of set up, or a gable grip, whatever he likes. And this is, people may, they may gator roll you and all this stuff. So here, I'm gonna reach across, I'm gonna grab his tricep, and I'm gonna back up, go around. Here. Try and keep your base if you can. Here. You may break them over here, because this is a shoulder lock. Okay? It's an Americana. Right? So, here. That's probably why he broke over. Right. This does come on quickly. So look, when Sharp's around my neck here, I grab his tricep and I back up and I keep my head down. And when I swing out like this, it's a tap. I can reach over and grab his back. It's a tap. I can come out and go back into the arm for crucifix. Okay? So, just keep that in mind. It's a very viable option. You might be trying this back up and go around, go ahead and sprawl. Get the kind of anaconda grip. Arm in guillotine sort of idea, right? Also, reach across, grab the tricep, back up, go around here. You got to keep this pinched under your armpit. Okay? So here, okay, you can grab the back, but it's not needed. If your head comes up, you will not submit them with the shoulder lock. If your head's here, you're not going to get them with that. But you can get them with this. Okay, so a lot of this, you'll pop out and you'll be right up on their upper body for crucifix, and you can stuff that wrist into your ankles. Do that straight arm lock. Okay, so here, get back in. Look at the grip. Head at the armpit, gripping the tricep. Some people just hold you here. Some people grip. Again, you got here. Come back. We've even got, we were doing this a while back. I used to compete in a purple belt division. He'd always get the IBJS against a guy. They would do this to everybody. Is that? Okay, so you don't want to get gripped right here. When somebody grips you, grab their tricep. Back up. Go around. Yes. See like how I'm falling down? That's why he fell down. If you lose your base, they drag you off for, and you're getting cranked on your shoulder. Right? So that's a different perspective on back up, go around. They may have a grip you're having a hard time sliding out of, just a different application. Make sense?
Sure.
All right, do that one. You just kind of, you're trained for 2 hours, go on for this stuff all day, right? We did Kesa, we did Turtle. We put those topics in like a day-long seminar by themselves. No way we had time to go over all of it. But just some important tenets. I've got people pull guard because they don't know some of the lessons we talked about. And here's the thing. If you know those lessons and you have a really good guard, and you didn't get a takedown in the first 30, 40, 50 seconds, pull guard. Like, if it's tournament, like, and here's the thing too, guys. I always went out and wanted to take people down, and you know what they always did on me? Pull guard. As soon as grips happen. So, you know, but like, learn some of these lessons. Learn how to counter guard pulls, right? Learn how to, you know, deal with a guard pull or with wrestling and throws. They're probably pulling guard because they don't have that. You can learn some of those lessons that have both, right? At the guard game that the quintessential jiu-jitsu players have usually. But then you've got, okay, well, I can wrestle if I need to, and I cannot get taken down by a judo person, right? Look, just chest grab. This can work. Look, the other grip would be a Darce choke, but we're not going to get into that. But here, you can do this from your elbow, or you can come up all fours. Here, okay? Sometimes, don't put your weight on the mat like this, but sometimes I'll grab this as I go by. Here. Okay, that's called a peek out or a sit out. Just a sit through. Jiu-jitsu people sit throughs look weird, so we're not doing any of those. They just kind of fall over onto their back into guard. But as I come here, starts crossing. It's like, I want to grab his collar and stuff and choke him, because you know that's what we're doing here. He crosses his arms, do the switch.
Oh, the rest
Right,
of it.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going here. He crosses there, and he boom. So we're just gonna do this one time each. But look, it's kind of like puts you in an arm lock right there. Okay, so under front headlock. Guillotine his arm. Sit through. He does the switch. Okay, and I'll show you the one that, I mean, I saw it on YouTube or something, I think. I don't remember, but all the black belts that I asked if they ever seen this, they haven't. Even the ones I had come in to teach a seminar on the truck. And they show me ones I hadn't seen too. But I learned 2 new truck subs last week. It's a cool spot. Look how I wrapped his arm. Can't do a twister in the competition, but from the same spot you can wrap. It's either a straight arm lock or an Americana. Right? Now, don't underhook him. He'll whizzer you. When Sharp was getting me here, I started walking back and I put my elbow here. Can you whizzer?
Yeah.
Now look. I kind of slingshot his leg to wrap his arm. Table grip. Yeah, it either straight arm locks or you bend it like we're talking about with the Kesa lesson. Okay, so you got a start front headlock. So here, sit through, referee switch, back up, elbow frame here, go around. If you stay on this side, he'll harass you by grabbing around your head, okay? And he might, you know, step across. He might do that, and then he knows he came to the Kesa seminar. He's been doing this position with me for like since 06. Sharpie and I came out of the same gym. All right, so again, here from front, look, boom. He does the switch. As he's trying to put me internal, I'm backing up, I put my elbow in. I immediately caught it to the other side. See what I'm doing here? Some people call this the free hook in 10th Planet. Like this. If you pull his hip out like this, that's what allows you to get this arm. One more with you on the far. Throw that, sit through. Nice. Okay, so look. He's on this side. That hand's free to choke me. So I need to start going away. Come over here. I'm back here. Now, as I come in, oh, he walks back, elbow, comes around behind, and you got that truck position. Whoa. Nice. Back. Very good. So, it's a little sit through drill. Got all the rest of it you'll ever need. What you just do on top. Alright? Let's do it. 1, 2.